I used to be one of those people, like, I got nothing to hide, I'm just a student. But I was very wrong. They're targeting everyone. As long as you're going out of your house, you're being surveilled.
In Xinjiang, in northwestern China, 13 million Turkic Muslims are already enduring extraordinary suppression at the hands of the Chinese government. And authorities there are building a surveillance state to be able to track their every move.
Recognize this guy? How about this one? Him? They govern like autocrats. These leaders are rising in an age where technology can make their lives much easier. And leading the way is China.
Across the northwestern province of Xinjiang, an estimated 1 million Chinese Muslims have vanished into a vast network of detention centers for what China calls re-education.
The region is now under what's probably the most intense government surveillance in the world.
Every 200 meters would have a police checkpoint. And then on top of that, there are all these checkpoints at public places wherever you go.
At home, they're pouring billions into the most sophisticated censorship and surveillance apparatus the world has ever known. I spent nearly a decade here. And halfway through that period, something changed. Xi Jinping took power, and cameras started appearing. A lot of them. Now, the cameras are everywhere. They hang from traffic lights, intersections, crosswalks, on trees, fences, and subway cars, even inside your taxi or your apartment building. These are, in fact, government surveillance cameras, and there are over 200 million of them here. The government says the cameras are used to fight crime, squash protests, and maintain control. It's all designed to make sure the Communist Party of China never loses power.
One tool at the heart of Xinjiang's surveillance system is the IJOP, or the Integrated Joint Operations Platform. The IJOP has an app that's used by police and government officials to track extraordinary amounts of personal information about individuals, ranging from their religious habits to their blood type.
Most of the time, it's just police watching on the other end of these cameras. But the idea is that, one day soon, artificial intelligence will be able to automate that job, analyzing the day-to-day lives of hundreds of millions of citizens. You might think, well, that's just China. But it's not only in China.
Everywhere she goes, Ouyang Haoyu is followed. What she buys, how she behaves, is tracked and scored to show how responsible and trustworthy she is. It's called the social credit system, and in one version now being tested, a person's reputation is scored on a scale of 350 to 950. It's big data meets Big Brother, expanding how the government monitors, understands, and ultimately controls its 1.4 billion citizens.
This is what it looks like when the IJOP system has flagged someone whose phone number the system has lost track of. The IJOP system sends an alert to government officials to go and investigate the reason why that phone number has gone missing, and note if this person is suspicious and requires further investigation. Or here's another example. This is a report that the IJOP system sends to government officials about someone who used an unusual amount of electricity. The report includes the date in which the unusual amount of electricity used was logged by the system, how much electricity was used, what was the meter reading, and what is the usual range of electricity used. Then the government official is required to go and investigate this person.
If you use WhatsApp or Viber or Telegram, that might be considered suspicious. If you go at the back door of your house instead of the front, the police might turn up to investigate. The list goes on. The information from the app feeds into a central system and combines with information from other surveillance systems, including CCTV cameras that rely on facial recognition software, and even Wi-Fi sniffers that are used as people walk through checkpoints to pull information off their phones.
This whole conspiracy to enslave humanity is a psychological game. What is it now? 7 billion or something people in the world, the number of people who are in full knowledge behind this manipulation, this agenda for this global Orwellian state is tiny.
How tiny?
Well, I mean, in the end, if you got to the real core, you could get them in one room. That's how tiny, but then it goes out from that.
20, 30, 40, 50 people.
Yeah, and then it goes out from that, and as you go out, you know, you're meeting people who, the further you go out, know less and less and less about what they're actually serving.
So the technology CEOs of Facebook, Twitter, and Google don't necessarily know the grand plan, but they're close enough to
the
center.
The idea that Mark Zuckerberg runs Facebook is a joke. I mean, have you seen those staring eyes in absolute terror and that bewildered face when he's being questioned on Capitol Hill? I mean, the idea he's running a company like Facebook is ridiculous. Obviously, you know, there are other forces involved here.
The IJOP system aggregates all this data about people, flags those it deems suspicious, and sends alerts to nearby officials. These dubious criteria are being used to identify large numbers of people, many of whom are then arbitrarily locked up.
In total, I spent about a month in different jails. I wasn't officially accused of anything or charged with anything. The official paperwork said something like, I was arrested under the suspicion of disrupting the societal order. Then after that, I was basically under house arrest, because they marked my ID card.
It's time for the Chinese government to stop persecuting perfectly legal behavior. It's time for the Chinese government to end its repression of Turkic Muslims in Xinjiang, and it's time for it to dismantle this surveillance state.
Companies are experimenting with the algorithms to help the government create the new national social credit system. The government also has pilot projects. In one, citizens are required to do hours of unpaid work to get benefits. And scores are docked for things like littering, a messy yard, gossip, even jaywalking. Video of offenders is shown on the local news. Being discredited makes it hard to get a job or put kids in top schools. The social credit system will go nationwide next year, and few here are willing to criticize it, something that may pose a risk itself for a bad score and the life that comes with it.
Up to relatively recently, the internet was censorship free. My God, not anymore. And why your Facebooks and your Googles and Twitters and stuff and Amazons were censorship free, and now suddenly they aren't. This is the process towards that goal of complete control of information, thus complete control of human perception, thus control of human behavior. This is the process. They had to get the internet to a point where it was the central pillar of human society, the central pillar of where all our information came from, the central pillar of control. This is why we now have the Internet of Things, where billions of pieces of technology, everything from your fridge to your car to your telly, are connected to the internet. But to reach that point, it had to be what people wanted. If they'd have introduced a censored internet from the start, the internet wouldn't be now what it has become.
So they Trojan horsed it in.
They Trojan horsed it in, a very good phrase. So what they did was have a uncensored internet, and people going, this is great. This is fantastic. And it became, the central pillar of human society. And of course, in that initial period where they were selling it, people like me and so many other people had the platform uncensored to get information out there. And it was great, but they had to do it to get the internet to where they wanted. In the same way, when your Facebook started and your Googles and your Twitters and your Amazons with the books, they would not have reached this point they've reached of near monopoly if they'd have been censoring as they are now from the start. Instead, they did exactly the same thing. No censorship, say what you like, and people then became addicted to Facebook, and Google became by far the biggest search engine. Amazon has basically destroyed the independent book industry worldwide as it existed before. And so they reached this point of monopoly. And then came the point where, yes, the internet is the central pillar of human society, and it's now irreversible. And yes, these are near monopolies. And who you're going to go to if not them? Who are you going to go to get any numbers watching your videos, if not YouTube, owned by Google, of course, or Alphabet, its parent company? So now we're in a position of power and strength. Now the internet's going to become what it was always planned to be.